Welcome to the Relentless podcast. We're here to help mission-driven entrepreneurs up-level their mindset, their business, and life. We've got an epic podcast for you today. I have my mate, Scott Weddell. I'm going to go through your bio. It's juicy. It's awesome. Just give me a moment. He's a former carpenter and joiner, earning 10 GBP an hour. Obviously not from Australia. To online marketing and entrepreneur, running a $15 million education and marketing company. He loves training hard, pushing limits, drinking coffee, smashing outcomes, and believes that the secret to success is living from heart, not your ego. My man, welcome to the Relentless podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some wisdom today with people and hopefully inspire people to live from their heart and go for what is true for them in life and build purpose around it. Because I truly believe that that's the driving force, especially for a man, also women as well, but especially for a man. Like, purpose is so key. And if you can find your truth and build your purpose around it, like, it's just like the limits are unlimited.
So true, brother. So true. And Matty Lavaz, I can't leave you out, bro. My man, how are you?
I just do the tech. I don't have any wisdom. I just push the buttons, change the screens and shit. Here to learn.
Yeah, he was showing me all the wisdom behind this, and it's. I think that's some wisdom, Matt. I think you've got some.
That's my wisdom.
Yeah, that's some
wisdom. Matt's got some wisdom for sure. But brother, again, thanks for joining us. And dude, I wanted to get you on the podcast because you and me have heaps of really cool in-depth conversations around marketing, life, all sorts of areas. And I thought our audience would be super inspired about your journey and where you've come from. I resonate with your story, dude, because I was a carpenter myself.
Yeah,
I've sort of followed a similar business journey. So let's rewind from the start. Being a humble carpenter and joiner, and you're from the UK, yeah?
Yeah, from Scotland, Edinburgh.
From Scotland. Yeah, so humble joiner, carpenter in Scotland. What changed for you, bro? What triggered you to say, fuck this, I'm changing my life, I'm stepping up, I'm choosing a different direction? Because just from my personal experience, I was stuck in a world as a carpenter, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, and again, I love carpenters and I love the industry, and a lot of my good mates are still in that industry, but I was looking around going, I want my life to be different than this in 10, 20 years. Tell me about your experience and that transition.
100%. Well, the first thing that really woke me up from the inside out was actually a near-death experience. So back in 2011, I was driving from a place called North Berwick in Scotland to go and pick up some paint to spray doors at our workshop. And I had to drive about 2 hours to pick up this paint. And I remember just driving and literally just in my head about how I was hating life and things weren't good and I wanted things to change. And I just couldn't see myself doing this in the future, but I didn't know any better because I was just following in the footsteps of my family, right? And I remember driving back the way towards the workshop again. And all of a sudden, the car just span out of control and I head off the central reservation on what you call the motorway over in Scotland. And the car flipped through the air. And I mean, when it flipped, it was going 83 miles an hour. And the reason I know that is because I had a tracker on my car for my insurance because I was young back then. And I'm not joking you. I remember just closing my eyes and just saying, this is it. I'm gone. But then I just had an outer body experience. Everything slowed down. I felt connected to everything all at once. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then literally I just see my life flash before me and everything that I was doing, partying at the weekends, the way I was treating people, just all that stuff. And I just had this feeling like, that's not me. I'm like, that person is not me. And I was like, I'm here to do more than just that. And then I woke up in the car on all fours in a ditch and I felt at peace for the first time ever in my life. It was a crazy experience, man. And then I remember just being like, is this what being dead feels like? I'm like, oh my God, it's just like awesome. And then all of a sudden I came back into my body and pain just kicked in. My arm was sore, my leg was sore. And then I literally just started screaming for help. And then luckily someone stopped behind me and came down to get me and phoned the fire brigade and the police to cut me out the car and take me back to the hospital. And all as I got away with was a little broken finger and a scratch on my wrist. So someone or something was looking after me that day. And that was what woke me up. But my message to people out there is you don't need to have a near-death experience to wake the hell up. There's two things that change your life. Something happens to you or something new comes from within you. And if I could turn back time, I would choose the second. So that's what happened to me to wake me up. And what I did from there is I signed up for a personal training course. Literally right away. I just took action, got on with it. And then that's when I fell into business world and I realized, oh my God, I actually have to speak to people, sell them things, and I have to learn about business. So I was like, oh, this is very new. So that's what got me into sales and marketing. And I fell in love with it, man. But a year passed, I was the highest paid personal trainer in the gym. Everyone was asking me what I was up to. I'd basically hired a mentor to teach me Facebook ads pretty much. That was my hack. And it went crazy. But then I realized I just love marketing more than training people. I just love this psychology of marketing and sales. I'm in love with it. I used to find myself getting home at 11 o'clock at night and staying up to 1 a.m. studying, and then getting up at 4 a.m. to do all my meal prep and then go to the gym. I was just obsessed, running off no sleep, loads of coffee, probably not the best for my health. But at the time, I was like, screw it. I know I'm young. I can get away with it. Let's go. And I just played full out. And then from there, I realized that personal training wasn't going to get me leverage. And I was thinking very differently to all these people in the gym. I would just be like, guys, what are you doing? Filling your calendars up. Why are you not thinking about group programs and doing these things? And I'm pretty different. I'm thinking very strategically rather than all these other personal trainers. So I was like, I went to a mastermind in the Austrian Alps, and it gave me a taste of freedom for the first time in my life, where I stepped on a plane, had no one to answer to, and I was making good money. And at that mastermind, I made the decision to be a marketer for personal trainers. And literally that changed the game for me. My business exploded, and I got literally really busy. And I managed to get to about $35,000 a month before I tapped out a little bit and had to build operations. But I actually didn't care. I just wanted to travel and experience life. So I would fluctuate from $20,000 to $30,000 a month helping PDs with marketing, just traveling around the world. And it was so much fun. But then I got bored. I got bored because I was working 4 hours a day or something like that, and I was living a great life. And I was just like, there's more to me than just this freedom thing. I'm like, I think I want freedom, but I actually don't think I actually want freedom. I actually think I want to build something and go big and play a big game. So that's when I met my business partner, Chris, and we built a marketing agency together, and then I helped him build his education company, and then we became partners. We built the digital marketing school together, and he's the face of Magnetic Mind, and I was the marketer for him. And then we eventually just combined the companies into a company called Conscious Education, and our mission is to empower people to shift from the old world and the old way of thinking to the new world, which is basically conscious creation and super conscious creation and playing full out. And building things that matter in life rather than just staying stuck to trading your time for money and going to university to get grades and spending 7 years to get a dentistry bloody job, and then your earning capacity is $190,000 a year. That shit doesn't excite me. What excites me is playing big and playing full out. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man. I can enjoy it, but that's just the picture.
That's gold, man. I want to ask you about, if I go back to the near-death experience, when you said, this is not me. So that was a kind of a profound realization. So you had this moment where I guess time kind of slowed down and you were able to quickly kind of reflect on the way you'd been living. And I think for most young people, most people are going to at least experience that a little bit. Some people are lucky to avoid it, but most of us have a time in our life where we just waste it and we give in to stupid pleasures and we make stupid mistakes. And what was it about that moment that was so profound? Because I think it's an interesting statement. It's like, it's not, I need to stop these behaviors. I guess that was probably inherent within the idea, but it was also, this is not me. So it's a profound kind of identity statement. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that kind of, sounds like that's at the foundation of all of the change.
And it comes down to my number one principle in personal development. and it's self-awareness. So there's two things you need to be aware of. The first thing is your truth, or another way of saying that is your heart. Okay, your truth. What is your truth? Like, who are you here to be? Because everyone has a truth, and it's in their heart, and I really believe that. And you can meet your truth. So I met my truth in an instant like that. And then what I did is I looked back onto, and it was kind of like these like mini films popping out and showing me scenes, and I was just like, what the, wow, Jesus. And I seen my dysfunctions, my ego, for the first time ever, and I was able to discern between two. And it was lightning speed, right? And this is me. If you asked me right after the crash what this was, I wouldn't be able to tell you this, but I went on a journey to figure this out.
Right.
And that put me on a journey, right? But I literally seen my truth, and then I looked back at the movies playing in my mind, and I said, that's not me. And I'm not choosing to play that out. And it comes down to the first principle that I have for myself is self-awareness, okay? And you need to be aware of your truth, and you need to be aware of your dysfunctions, which are driven by your ego. Because a lot of people, we have these desires, these things we want to create, right? And a lot of the times they're just not true for you. You're actually just recreating your beliefs that you have about yourself, and you're playing out previous versions of yourself. And I always like to have this kind of visualization in my head that if I have a desire and my heart has a desire, then my ego also has a counter intention. Okay? And the secret is being aware of your counter intentions that you have and neutralizing them and putting your focus on what you want to create. And the personal development world would look at that like fixing, but it's not. It's actually just a shift of self-awareness and focus and energy. And you're not fixing yourself at all, because it comes down to an awareness of what the ego is. And the ego is your vehicle that you're living here on Earth. And it's designed to keep you safe, right? It beats your heart. It's digesting your food. I'm speaking. I don't even know how I'm speaking. It's just happening, right? So literally, it's just this automatic vehicle that's just keeping you alive. And from the ages of 0 to 6, you have experiences in life, and then you make up how the world is, and you just keep playing that out your whole life unless you have self-awareness. So what happened in that moment was that, looking back now, connecting the dots, I can tell you for absolute certainty that that's what's happened. Does that make sense?
It's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And man, I love the passion that you have for not only marketing and what you do, but the psychological journey, the personal growth journey that you have to go on in order to be successful. And, you know, I think that's such an important takeaway for people watching this, is that, you know, you might be watching thinking, you know, you've gone from a carpenter to a multimillionaire running this company, but it's that internal shift and that internal game that's really taken you to where you are today, right? It's that mental growth and that self-awareness and the principles that you live by that's transported you and fast-tracked you to this point. Is that fair to say?
100%, man. And it's like, you can't judge, so you can't limit your vision by your current circumstances. And a lot of people, what they do is they limit what is possible for them based off their circumstances they have in life. And you can't do that. Like, I had everything, all the cards were against me. Like, I grew up in a working class family. My mom and dad were always stressed about money and arguing about money. When my mom was out working, my dad was at home. When my dad was working, my mom was at home. All I knew was they just go out and chase this thing called money to pay bills, but then they get really stressed about it. And then they argue over it. Oh my God, that's how I made up my structure around money. And it's like, I had all my circumstances were against me. And no one in my family line was entrepreneurial or doing like these things. I didn't have anyone mentoring me or teaching me. All I knew was you trade time for money, and then you come home and you get mad at the thing that you're doing to trade money for. Oh, I don't like my work. You know, it's just, that's all I knew growing up. So my circumstances were just against me. But you can't limit your vision based off your current circumstances. And it comes down to principle number 2 I want to share. And it's tension. Tension is good. A lot of people think tension is bad. And let me explain what that means. Like a rubber band, if you see this rubber band, there's tension between it, right? And if I hold my focus on something And I hold it on it for that long, and then I literally let that resolve naturally. It wants to go this way naturally. Okay? So what I do in my life every single day is I actually use my circumstances I have right now against my truth and my level that I know is true for me. So, and that's why you have to build a relationship with your level and your truth. Because let's face it, some people aren't meant to be here to do big things, and that's okay. They got to know their level. Yeah, I got to know my level. And what I've got to do is use my current circumstances right now against my level. And what this does is it creates 2 points in the structure of space time, right? We'll go quantum physics for a second. It creates 2 points in the structure of space time. And between those 2 points, there's an energy connection, and I refer to that as tension. Okay, and then tension seeks resolution. I'm hungry, eat. I'm horny, fuck. Like literally, tension seeks resolution. It's a universal principle. And you can actually use your circumstances against your level and let your subconscious mind know that this is where I'm at right now, and this is where I'm going, and this is our bloody level. And what happens is the universe doesn't like a void. It hates voids. So what naturally happens is if you can focus on your level and hold your focus there that much, that you're literally metaphorically stamping in like these little banging stuff into the ground, right? And it's like you're catapulting yourself ready just to go flying forward into the future. If you can hold it that much and get really clear on your level, where you're going and your circumstances, and then what the action is you need to take. If you're courageous enough to follow that action and take it, you're resolving tension towards your end result. Okay? And it's very important that you actually become aware and tell yourself the truth about what's going on. So when I was a broke carpenter, I didn't pretend I was rich. I didn't look at myself in the mirror and say, I am rich, I am rich. That's called a lie. Okay? That's called a lie. And your mind is very powerful, and it understands what a lie is.
Right.
And it understands incongruence. And it's going to feel incongruent if you're sitting there in the mirror looking at yourself, listening to spiritual preachers telling you to look in the mirror and say, you got this, I am rich. It's just all bullshit, man.
Right.
So you got to be aware of your circumstances and tell yourself the bloody truth, and then know your level and use those two things against each other to create what I call tension. And then follow the action. Does that make sense?
When you say know your level, go a little bit deeper into that, because you said something that kind of stood out for me a moment ago. You're like, not everyone is, let's say, built for big things. And I think I think it's kind of an important realization. I heard someone say a long time ago that, a lot of people say, you can do anything, which is incorrect. It's kind of like, for example, like I'm a short guy. I'm always probably going to get beaten up by guys with a longer reach, if I'm boxing, unless I can kind of get in close, and I'm probably not going to ever succeed in the NBA. But there's a whole bunch of stuff, I can be a good sprinter, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that I can do within my realm. Just kind of, expand a little bit more on like level and how that kind of fits in with what I was just saying.
100%. No, well, first and foremost, that what you just said is so true. Like, that's just a bullshit lie from the personal development world that you can do. Like, I just don't believe that. So what I mean by like knowing your level is to do with the first principle, self-awareness. So what I do every morning is I'm like visualizing my end results that I'm creating. So I have a process where I do a meditation where I really go into my truth in my heart, and I pick things out of there. It's this fun game of picking creations out of the garden, right? And what I'm going to create. And then I formulate them into what I call choices, or another way of saying that is goals for people to understand. And then basically every morning I'm focusing on those choices and goals. The reason I call them choices, by the way, for anyone wondering, is a process I learned from a guy called William Whitecloud. And he says that a choice has power in it, because you could choose anything else you want, but you're choosing this thing that's true for you. There's these other things that are available to you, but you're choosing this, so it's a choice, and that's got power in it. And I prefer to use that than goals, because it just has power in it. So every morning I'm tuning into that, and I'm seeing what it is, and I'm visualizing it and seeing the truth. And then I'm observing myself like in the future, pretty much, right? And I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. That's what I'm up to. And then I'm here, and then I see myself here. And I'm building a relationship with my truth. And it only happens over time. And then if you get something in your intuition and your awareness, you gotta honor that. You gotta honor that and say, that is my truth, even if right now you feel like you can't do it. So that's what I mean by knowing your level. So an example, like someone that's here that's just meant to be a mother, she's going to tune into her end results and just see kids to look after kids and see nurturing and all these things. And if she denies that and then tries to go and start this big business because she's been told that and it's not her truth, then she's not going to succeed at that. You know, so it's like, what is the thing that's true for you? Build a relationship with it by tuning into your own energy field, not anyone else's energy field, your energy field, your heart. And really, every single day, just improve your clarity by 1%. And over time, and I mean like over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years of doing this, you're going to have a really clear picture of your truth, of your vision, and of your level, right? So an example, I see when I go into my end result, I've got this end result where I say I choose the end result of my epic billionaire lifestyle, right? And when I go into that, I see myself like in Monaco at the Grand Prix on a yacht. And then I'm like, and then when I come back to now and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like building this company. I'm really busy. I don't see how that's possible right now. That's my circumstances. But I just know that I can use my circumstances against that level. And I don't need to know how it's going to manifest. I'm just going to stay in the end result and just keep taking the obvious action and keep moving forward and keep doing what I'm doing. And I know this company I'm building is a bridge to get there. So I'm just going to trust and follow. Do I know how I'm going to make that happen? Hell no. But I just know it's in my level.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to get a little bit more clarity on that, because I think people listening to this and they might be thinking, I'm looking at my reality, I'm not where I want to be, but I have big goals and big dream and big vision. Am I meant for this? Am I not meant for this? And if they're trying to tap into their truth, you know, how are they going to distinguish between maybe a little bit of low self-confidence or low self-worth and the actual truth of who they could become and the journey that they want? Is it more about sitting with it and really feeling into that vision and connecting to it from an emotional standpoint? Or just elaborate a little bit more on that so we get full clarity around how can they understand, am I self-sabotaging and just playing a small game, or can I really become who I want to become?
Of course, yeah. So it really comes back to, I'm going to switch back to the first principle. It comes back to the self-awareness thing. So I truly believe we all come here as a creative spirit, man. Like that's, and I think the current schooling system also dampens that creative spirit a little bit. But that's another conversation we could go down, rabbit hole we could go down in a minute. But we come here as a creative spirit, and then we literally have experiences from 0 to 6, and that we make up how the world is. So the first thing you got to do on your journey is actually just spend time getting to know how you think the world is, right? Because if you think the world is a certain way, if you believe that you're not worthy, or that you're not capable, or that you don't deserve to be seen, or you're not good enough, or whatever it is, it's at your core. And then you've got to understand that first, because if you understand that, and that's the thing that's in your way from your truth, then you know that it's just a pattern, right? And it's like, honestly, it's just practice. It's like the metaphor I like to use is, if you've got a clear bucket of water and every single day you just drop a piece of red dye into it, right? What happens in 2 years' time? That's just going to turn red. It's just going to turn red. But if you only drop it in once, and then 2 years later you come back and drop another piece in, and then 2 years later you drop another piece in, then you're never going to build the habit of connecting with your heart. Okay, so actually it's about unlearning and breaking down, like, and being aware of your core wounds and how you think the world is, and spending time doing that and getting yourself into an orientation where you just love life. Because when you're there and you can sit in your truth and you just love life, and you're not trying to prove to the world, and you're just loving life, you're living your perfect average day, you're getting up, you're loving life, that's when you can truly get to understand what you really want. But the truth is, most people just won't spend the time to do that. They'll just rush and and try and say that I've tried 12 weeks of meditation, it doesn't work, or whatever. So they're actually not patient enough to even see their truth. And what they do is they start taking other people's goals and making it their own. So really, Matt, to summarize, it always just comes back to self-awareness. You've got to spend the time and effort and energy to understand yourself. Because if you understand yourself, you're going to know if you're coming from a place of your dysfunctions or if you're coming from a place of the truth. And it just takes time. You've got to be patient. Okay? And so journaling every single day, tuning in every single day, listening to your heart. Like if you have to, go and have some experiences, take some psychedelic mushrooms, do what you need to do to like connect to yourself. You know, what tools can you use to connect? Because I had a near-death experience. That's what connected me to myself. But like I said, you don't need to have that.
Right.
So there's tools out there you can use.
You don't have to wait for something really bad to happen, right?
No. So like you just need to meet yourself. How can you actually meet yourself for the first time? Not who you think you are, but your actual true self. And it's beautiful when you do, man, because you just start living from that and things start manifesting and things start creating in your life. And it's so powerful. But people just don't have the patience nowadays to do it because it's instant gratification.
Right.
It's instant gratification. So I'm hungry, so I'll eat. Why don't you try fasting for 10 hours? You can actually do it. You don't need to eat right away. You know, so like it comes down to that from my perspective. Does that make sense?
Totally, man. I'd love your thoughts on something because I really like the way you talk about your truth because I think it's an easily misunderstood, that statement, your truth. It's such a big statement. What do you specifically mean by that? And I think you're doing a good job of explaining it. I'd love your thoughts on this because from what I'm getting from what you're talking about, your truth, the way you talk about it is it's like the best version of you. Your best self, the part of you that's connected with the world, that's not just coming from your pain and your trauma, that's not living other people's goals, that didn't just accept that the purpose of life is to be a carpenter and try to do slightly better than my parents did, or maybe just do exactly what they've done. I think like a lot of people do, they never really challenge things. And I love how you're encouraging people to kind of think about reality in the world and, what's the world about? Why am I here? And because I think that encourages people to get uncomfortable and challenge themselves by trying to answer those questions and think critically. I'd love to know your thoughts on this because I think that wokeness has hijacked the word your truth, is significantly hijacked the statement, and it's being used as like a victim, like get out of jail free card. You would say to someone, well, you could journal every day, and they'd be like, well, my truth is I'm a lazy dick. That's my truth. My truth is I'm offended by this shit, and you need to stop telling me what to do. And that's my truth. And, we're seeing that now a lot. And so I think that statement has a negative connotation because of people that are using it from a victim perspective, but then it still has a powerful truth in a way that, it's still pointing us in the right direction. Yeah.
So I believe there's two orientations in the world. The first one is the creative orientation. The second is victim, just like you said.
Right.
And most people are actually coming from ego, man, and they don't even know it. And they're using these principles they're learning in the spiritual world and the personal development world to actually just bypass the truth. And it's like when you tell yourself the truth, you've got to actually really listen to what your unconscious is telling you. I repeat, you need to listen to what your unconscious is telling you, not what your egotistical conscious brain that's intellectual and it's learned all this stuff is telling you. So there's a key difference. And a lot of people will push the truth down and let intellect take over. And I know that because I am very intellectual and I've done that. So I've got experiences of hearing what my unconscious wants to say and feeling so uncomfortable that I'm like, push that down and out of the way. Not dealing with that right now. And then use my intellect to talk my way out of it. And you're not in your truth. You're just not, man. You're in your intellect. And intellect is cool. It's a cool tool to use. But it's also a trap used in the wrong context. So to really put a bow on this kind of principle is one of the big things you gotta do is like listen to what your unconscious is telling you. And that really comes down to that part where I was talking about your circumstances. Really, like, what is your circumstances and what do you believe about the world and what's coming up from an unconscious level? And a lot of people just haven't built the relationship of listening to themselves and actually just then having the courage to even just write it down and look at it and confront it for the first time ever. You don't even need to go and talk to someone about it right away if you don't want to. Just write it down and internalize it and just really just sit with yourself and say, this is the truth. Because without the truth, there's no tension. There's none. And this is where what I believe the spiritual world's got it wrong is they're all too emotion, like they're focused on feeling good and tuning in and it's all about the end result and what you're manifesting. And it's like, and they're missing this part called tension. They're missing it. And tension is what creates babies. So if it creates babies, it can create fucking miracles for you.
That's been one of my favorite kind of comebacks against people that say, business should be all flow. And if it's not flow, and I'm like, can you give birth in flow? Like my wife's about to give birth in 2 weeks. Can you do that in flow? Go. Do it in flow. Go deadlift, go do, a hard 20-minute workout in flow. Do anything beneficial in flow.
Nah, man. Nah. I did. I went, was it last Monday? I went to the gym after a tough day at work. And I really didn't want to be there. I honestly hated every fucking minute of it. I hated it. And then I got to the end of my workout and literally I had 6 rounds of high intense assault bike to do. And my PT was at the gym and I walked up to him. I was like, bro, I'm going to be honest. I really don't want to go and do that hit. And he was like, just do it. Doesn't do it. Who cares how you feel? Just go and do it. I bet you feel better after.
Right.
So look what happened. I was vulnerable enough to go up and speak to someone that I trust and tell him the fucking truth. Then he was like, go and do it. So I went and did it. And then after I was like, fuck yeah, I feel brilliant now. So that was the opposite of flow, but I got it done.
Right.
So yeah, like and honestly, if you think that life's just going to feel good all the time, I'm just going to not sugarcoat it. You're delusional.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think that's the trap that so many people get caught in these days. They're just shying away from that internal battle, shying away from the pain and the joy and suffering as well. And I guess I want to sort of touch on that and the journey. We're going to get into some business strategy in a second, but let's just keep dancing around this the mindset and psychology for a minute. You spoke a little bit about dysfunction and sabotage, right? And obviously going from carpenter to multimillionaire, there's multiple different levels and you transcend those through challenging yourself in different ways. And also you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? You work with a lot of people going on this journey. What are some of the, and I want to put this in the context of men. Let's talk about men for a second. What are some of the biggest dysfunctions or self-sabotaging traits or elements that you see on the average male entrepreneur journey from zero to hero? Can you talk a little bit about that and some of the solutions that you would, I guess, give people?
I can break it down to one principle, one thing. So like one thing, and this is at the core of everything that I see, and in myself as well. Like I've got this in me too, because I'm very natural at this orientation, and I've got to be aware of it and shift my awareness from this to the creative orientation, focusing on where I'm going and not playing out this pattern I'm about to say. So here's the pattern. Here's what most people do. It comes down to judging your current circumstances against the world and others. Okay? And then you look at what others are doing in the world and you can't see the full picture, but you judge the social media highlight reel, right? And then you say to yourself, now it's not good enough. I can do more. I'm better than this. And you get all mad. But then what happens is you anchor in not good enough and your mind hears not good enough. And what you do is you run away to go and create this new result you want to create. And then what happens is because you're not in your truth, okay, you just get hit with all this resistance. Things start going wrong. Internal resistance starts going up. And then what you do is you react to that resistance and you try and resolve the resistance, and then you start fixing it and going backwards. So you actually go from here, moving towards your goal, to actually fixing resistance, okay? And you fix it, and then it feels good, and then you're like, oh, I've not actually progressed, so, oh my God. You start looking at the world again. Oh, now it's not good enough. And then you run away again, and then you're just on this oscillating pattern of, now it's not good enough, the future will be better. Okay, when I get there, it's going to be better. When I have the $1 million in the bank, life will be different. Okay, when I've got the $10 million business, I'll be the man. You know, I'll be the man. Yeah, everyone will look at me like I'm successful. And you run away, and you're actually just trying to be the man, and you're not actually trying to create the business. So the power is in being the man. So if your ego thinks that you're not the man now, okay, and you think that when you get the business that you're going to be the man, that's an identity crisis right there. Identity crisis. So you'll do everything in your power, or your unconscious will do everything in its power to sabotage you. And we call it sabotage, but it's not really. It's just this pattern playing out. So really, because you said now it's not good enough and I'll be the man, because we're relentless to men, right? Because I've definitely got this one in me for sure. I'll be the man when I get there. And then now your identity now is I'm not the man, I'm not the man. So when you go to get the result of the business, your identity freaks out because it says, no, well, we can't change. That's not safe, because your ego is meant to keep you safe, remember? And then it'll find ways to sabotage you. You'll lose money, you'll lose a deal, things will manifest in your life. And it plays out in a lot of people's lives. So it's actually, and we call that, and I learned this from my business partner, Chris Duncan's wrote in a book about this, the same with William Whitecloud, the two that I learned this from. It's called negative vision. So it's not actually a vision you want. You're just trying to be something that you don't need to try and be. And I think the secret is this: the less that you matter, the easier it is. The less that you matter, the easier it is. I don't need to be the man. What are you on about? I can be strong. I could be weak. I could be powerful. That's not what creates results. What creates results is focus on an end result and aligned action towards that end result. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting behind a laptop all day or out pumping up people in front of audiences. It doesn't matter. So it's discerning the difference between actually what are you actually trying to do, and are you actually going for a real result, or are you just trying to resolve ways that you feel incomplete about yourself? And it's really a bloody hard thing to look in the mirror at, especially for a guy. But if you do, your life will change.
Right.
It's like detaching from pride. Sorry to cut you off, Matty. Detaching from pride, sitting in humility a little bit more, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is it's also about being grateful for the moment, and not always leaving gratitude for 5 years down the track. We're chasing this fantasy that we're going to feel all the emotions and the gratitude and the pride, and in 10 years when I become a billionaire. Right. But really, it's about being humble, enjoying the process, and tapping into gratitude for now. Would you say that's part of the?
No, yeah, that's a way to, because then you're not going to be in an identity crisis when you go for it, and it's very subtle as well. Like when you start building a relationship with your ego, it's very subtle. And there's been times where I think I'm not in my ego and I'm going for something, and then I realize I am, and it's very hard to discern sometimes. So the more you practice building a relationship with yourself, and understand when you are in a moment trying to make a decision, as an example. So this is a key tool that I use. If I'm in a moment making a decision and I can feel what I call tension-seeking resolution in my head. So I've got this head noise going on and I've got tension-seeking resolution. So yeah, I'm going to fire that person. They didn't that. We're going to fire that person. I'm going to change that. Oh, you get mad and you're like, oh, I'm going to change this. I don't like that. If you've got all that stuff going on, just observe it. Don't take action right away.
Right.
Like if you've got 5 or 6 things that you want to resolve in your business, as an example, or your life or your health or whatever, just make sure that you're coming from the right place. And that takes time to discern. So does it matter if you wait a week before you take the action? No, it doesn't. There's always stuff to do. As long as you spend a week just observing that, even 2-3 days, don't just get a thought in your head, want to seek resolution and follow it right away. Because if you do that, 9 times out of 10, there is a small amount of time that you'll hit the right action, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in a pattern of some sort.
Right.
And you're going to be like, it's not going to get you anywhere. So the more I build my relationship with myself, the more I realize that I am a man. I've got intensity. I do get mad at things every now and then, and that's okay. But like, just don't act on it right away. Just sit with it and observe it. So that's one of the key tools that I use as well to make sure that I'm not judging my circumstances and then running away from them.
Yeah, I really love what you said about not making it about yourself and that kind of going into ego. And, you know, we're all tempted to sometimes bite back. And, you know, I think we've all taken an action that we've regretted when we've looked back and we've gone, wish I didn't send that email, wish I didn't say that, wish I didn't act upon it, because we acted from defensiveness of, I guess, keeping our idea of who we are strong and solid. And one of the things that we teach that I'm sure that you're on board with as well is like, when you make your life about helping people, when you make your business about helping people, when you were saying early on in the podcast, it's like you realized it wasn't even about freedom, it was about purpose. And like, you could easily say, for example, all right, I want to get rich because I want to have freedom. And, you know, we very much think that it's a good idea to have the freedom to express your values. But even then, if that's the end point, you're still, and you said it, it's like you kind of got bored. You're like, all right, well, I've got some cash. I'm only working 4 days a week. And then it's inevitable. We're all going to hit the same point. We're going to go, well, now what do you do with your life?
What's next?
What's next? Like, how big, you know, it's like, oh, I've got another zero in the bank account. All right, didn't really change how I felt. You know, what do I do? And I think it's a great reminder that the kind of like one of the codes of life is that if you make your life about other people, that's how you win. You've got to find something worth serving. You've got to find and you gave a great example. There might be someone listening to this that's a mum, and it's like, well, my mission is to be a mum for my kids, and that's enough. I don't have to be a mum for other people's kids, or, you know, start a business educating mums. But then you might have someone else where it's like, yeah, that is my goal, and I'm going to serve people that way. And, you know, we serve people through our mastermind community. You serve people through teaching them about marketing. And I think it's a wonderful little reminder for people. It's like, no matter how successful you get, no matter how much you start achieving in life, never lose sight of really why you're here. And it's to learn how you can be of service to other people. And that's really what's going to light you up.
Yeah, and it comes down to the core principle that I believe that every human being is a creator.
Right.
So we've got, I don't care if you're living on the streets right now and you're homeless, you're a creator. I don't care if you're a billionaire, you're a creator. I don't care if you're a millionaire, you're a creator. I don't care if you're just striving to be a millionaire, you're a creator. You've got power within you that creates. Look at what some human beings have created in this world, like rocket ships, planes, all these cool inventions that we've had. That was a human being that created that. And if a human being can create that, then what can you create? So the key is, for me, the nature and purpose, the nature of a human being is you're a creator. And your purpose is how you express that in the world. And if you just live from those two things and live in your true nature and purpose, then you're going to not buy into the old world way of being, which is, I'm going to retire when I'm 65 and I'm just going to chill out. And no, that's not what a creator does. William Whitecloud he's in his 60s, and I do coaching with him. And he's still going strong, man. And he's like, nah, this is my purpose. So I'm doing, like, he doesn't buy into this old world, right? This old world of, yeah, just give your power away for your whole life and put money into a retirement account, and then get to that age and kind of like be sold on that you're going to be free, and then realize when you get there that you're actually dependent, not free. You're dependent because you've not created anything. So you got to know that you're a creator, and your purpose is how you express it. And if you live from those two things, then you're not going to buy into the old world and think that this idea of freedom is what you want. Freedom is just living your truth, in my mind, knowing what your truth is and bloody living it.
So true, brother. So true. I'm loving this. I know everybody watching will be resonating with everything that you're saying here, and it's super inspiring. Let's shift some gears into the marketing world and the business world and making money. and growing, so we can have a bit of freedom and choice and truly step into our truth. And I think it's so important to understand the importance of sales and marketing. I think we all agree on the importance of learning this and living it and practicing it. And I remember when I started learning, I was building my gym chain, and I was learning all the hats of the business. And again, the first 100 clients I got was just wearing a big red morph suit, so I look like a red sperm, and I'm running along the street, signing people up, ripping people in. And I remember how beautiful it was the day that I realized I could run ads and generate leads and not have to be on the street getting sworn at in the rain, getting names and details down. And that was a huge aha moment for me. I literally, I've told this story many times, but when I ran my first ad set for a challenge, and all of a sudden overnight, when Facebook was rocking more than it does now, but we got like 60, 70 leads come through, something like that overnight. And it was hectic. And I literally had tears in my eyes because I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I can see the future. This is so fucking powerful. Like my whole belief system and hope and vision just exploded. And it was one of the best moments of my life. And again, I know that you see this every day with marketing and the scale that you can get from knowing these tools. We're going to talk about, how to grow into that in a moment. But I think there's a mindset shift from being just an operator or starting a business, then putting a marketing hat on or becoming a true marketer, right? And there's some beliefs and there's some mindsets that you have to sort of shift into and evolve into before you start to really nail it, and asking questions like, if I was a world-class marketer, what would I be doing right now? What would I believe right now? So I just want to tap into that, because you are a world-class marketer. You're dominating in this space. You've got a whole school dedicated to training marketing warriors. What sort of mindset or beliefs do we need to step into or start to evolve into to become a world-class marketer these days?
Yeah, beautiful. Good question, man. Good question. So there is a big shift that someone has to make when they start, and it's shifting from the employee world to the entrepreneur world. And so what I mean by that is you shift from trading time for money to trading value for money. And value is how we measure money. Like money is a measurement of value you create in the world. So if you're earning more money, you're providing more value in the world. So the first thing we got to do is make people shift from I trade my time for this thing called money to I trade value for money. And the way they do that is they have to own a system that produces the value in the world in a way that a hungry market will pay for. Okay? So what we teach at Digital Marketing Schools, we teach people to sit in the middle between customers and business owners, and we help them build the skill of generating leads for these businesses so they can actually sell to customers. Okay? And that makes they own a system now. So we have a full step-by-step system. We've got a all-in-one software that they can use for their business, and they just learn how to operate that system. So they basically buy a system from us, and then they have to learn how to operate the system. And that allows them to make the shift from trading time to actually just providing results for people, and people be willing to pay for it. And then what they can do once they've mastered the skills, they can actually start hiring low-cost staff to help them press the buttons to actually set up the ads. And then they can just become an actual operator of a business and not trading time for money technician, right? So that's the first big shift that we teach our students to make, and it's a huge shift for people. And from a business owner's perspective as well, like just tapping into a business owner, the big mistake a business owner makes is they make themselves very valuable to the business. And so what they do is they become the person driving it, and they don't step back and strategically do exactly what I said. Build a system that produces the results, not them. It's a big mistake people make. So whether you're a beginner looking to start a business like we do at the Digital Marketing School, or you are a business owner, the biggest mistake all of these people make is they project the employee mindset onto their business, and they make it about them rather than making it about a system that produces results. So right now, as I sit here, there's money coming in, there's sales calls happening, there's leads coming in, and I'm here talking because it's a system. I'm not doing it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, so true, so true. And I think that's so important to understand that you have to remove yourself from the business. I think and man, and I say this because especially with my first business, I just made myself mentally, emotionally, every like part of me was so attached to the business. My identity was the business, everything. Right. And so then you realize that you're going to hit a cap really fucking fast if you are everything to that business. You have to build a system. You have to remove yourself, and I think also you have to emotionally remove yourself from the business as well. It doesn't mean you don't love the business, care about the business, want to grow the business, but it also means that you're able to make logical and pragmatic decisions better as the CEO and the business owner, rather than emotional decisions when you're fully attached to the business from an identity point of view.
For sure. I think it's also a great reminder just for the importance of systems. Even before you've got a staff, a mistake that a lot of solo entrepreneurs make is like everything's in their mind. They haven't even just written down one system, like copy and paste the welcome email, turn it into a signature, and let's just start by having that be the same thing every time someone gets it, or having a sales script. And I think that when someone starts moving away from pure implementation of just sitting in responding to everything to having some systems, then you've got consistency, then you've got replicability, then you've got the mindset of modeling excellence and looking at my system compared to yours and saying, damn, yours is better. I'm going to update that and improve my system. It's a complete game changer of thinking that I think a lot of people struggle with. What I'd love to ask you is we work with coaches, consultants, service-based entrepreneurs, and we take care of people in a business mastermind. Interestingly, one of the things, and this is a struggle for someone who probably hasn't broken through their first $100,000 yet. The struggle is, I just love helping people. I love being on the ground and running the groups or doing the coaching or whatever. And it's kind of like you've got to sell them the idea that, well, that's good, but you're now actually a marketer. It's not that you've just got to learn marketing. Or for example, some people think, well, I'm just going to outsource that shit. I don't even want to know about it. But then they can't really manage the person that they've outsourced it to, because they don't, if someone says, this is what I'm doing, they're like, great. They can't reference it if it's successful or not. So one of the things that we talk about is it's like the identity of, well, now you're actually a marketer and you're a salesperson and you're admin and you're this, until you're able to create the systems to then start replacing yourself. What's your best pitch to someone if they're listening to this and they're new and they're like, I've heard this before, I really should study marketing more?
Good question. I've got the perfect pitch for that prepared in my back pocket. So I think it comes down to the core principle that business is pretty predictable. So the first thing I would get them to believe is, like, business is predictable. And then I would use the metaphor of the Fibonacci sequence in nature. So we see this sequence in nature playing out, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, and it keeps building upon itself. So it's like the principle of small blocks building into bigger blocks. And over time, there's a new creation. So when a human being is growing in the womb, the Fibonacci sequence is playing out. When a flower is growing, the Fibonacci sequence is playing out. So there's these predictable patterns in life, and business is no different. So there's different identities you have to be in at certain times in your business. So the first identity is the seeker, okay? And what the seeker does is the seeker comes up with an idea and pieces it together, comes up with the product, the offer, the idea, the money models, how it's all going to work, and creates a vision and a concept. And we actually have a document that we use in our school to help people do that. It's called the Foundation Stock. And it's got everything from their target avatar to their offer, to their story that they're going to tell to the client, to their logical framework to get someone to buy, or their market argument is another way of saying that. And it's basically the seeker. You're coming up with ideas, right? But once you've got the idea, it's not going to build itself. So you must shift identities, and you must shift into the starter. And that's the hunter energy, the enrollment energy, the proof of concept energy. Let's go. Let's take this idea and get it out there. Get into my network and pitch it to people. Make cold calls if I have to. Do DMs. Just get in there and hunt, just like a salesperson would do. And get proof of concept. Sell your first 10 people. right? Without any paid ads, no paid ads yet. Just literally sell your first 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. If you're a very good salesperson with a big network, you can actually make millions of dollars in this phase before you even switch into the next one, right? It's crazy. But if you've got a small network, then you might make 10 sales. So you shift into the starter energy and you have to drive your business. It's all about drive, goal, intensity, all right? Then once you've got proof of concept, you've sold your offer, you've proven that your money models and all that stuff that you created on your document works, and you've got your minimum viable product starting to build, you've maybe got what we call a beta group going through, and you're starting to get testimonials. Then you really take all of that data from all the sales calls you've done, from all the feedback from the customers, and you shift into the next identity, which is promoter, the marketing phase, right? This is where it shifts from being about hunting and going for it and hustle in your time to building the system that gets attention and pulls that attention towards you into your customer journey, and building a sales mechanism that can work without you. So this is where you build a marketing funnel that books calls. If you've got a high ticket service, if you've got a low ticket service, it's a direct to sale funnel. If you've got e-com products, it's a direct to sale funnel. You build a funnel that does the work for you, okay? Then you hire a sales team to come in and do the sales calls for you, and you get yourself out and you're in the promoter energy, which is systems that work without me. And then once you've got your predictable selling system working, your minimum viable product is moving, you really need to shift identities into the builder, okay? And the builder is all about systems and processes. So what you're doing is you're looking at what you have magically created. And this is the mistake people make. They think about, I need to do standard operating procedures for everything, and I need to work this out. And it's like, no. Wrong focus. What the builder does is the builder observes what you have built and says, how did we do this? How did we create value? And then we map the value. We map it. We say, well, when a customer clicks on the ad, this is what happens. Then what happens next is this. Then what happens next is this. And then when you get to a certain stage, it's like, there's actually two things that could happen here. Okay, so you're like, well, what happens if they say no here? This happens. What happens if they say yes here? This happens. And then you just keep mapping your value. Then you go for your product and you're like, cool, when someone signs up, how do we onboard them? Then what happens? Then what happens? Then what happens? And you build out your engines, that I call them in your business, to drive value, okay? And then what you do is you literally write down all the places that you're in, and I bet you it's everywhere. You're just like, okay, I'm in all of this. Okay, so what's my plan to delegate and outsource? And then you start getting yourself slowly out of the Facebook ad account, and then you get yourself out of the sales calls, and then you get yourself out of this and that, and then maybe doing calls on your delivery is probably the last thing you get yourself out of, and you just move yourself slowly out and up, and you build systems and processes that produce value without you, and you just own the system. And that's when you can truly step into being the operator of your business, or another way of saying that is the guide. So you shift from being in details to being in inspiration, and you pump your team up, you get your team clear, and then you just focus on, you switch your business to optimize mode and scale mode, and then you start adding in more customer journeys, and you start adding in more product path, and you just slowly but surely just scale it out as a guide, okay? And that's when, honestly, man, that's when you can really call yourself an entrepreneur, when you've done that. You can't call yourself an entrepreneur unless you've done that, because what you said, Matt, is so true. If you don't go through that experience yourself first, and you go and hire someone and give your power away to someone to do your ads, you don't know how to manage them. You've not created the KPIs, the systems, the processes. You've not went through the frustration of not understanding how it works and then figuring it out and being like, wow, you really need the experience. Then what you can do, once you've earned that shit, you can then, if you've got money and you want to invest and do other businesses and ventures, what you can do is you now know your predictable path called the Fibonacci sequence. And then you can look for people that have good ideas and say, oh, wow, that's a really good idea you've got. Can I fund it? Or you come up with your own idea and you say, hey, guys, I'm going to hire the starter. I'm going to hire the promoter. I'm going to hire the builder. I'm going to hire the CEO and the operator to operate this thing. And I'm just going to be on the board and be above the business. And you build this thing out without your time because you hire the identities that are needed in the business. So that's how I would pitch it to them. And then I would say, if you're not willing to do that, business is not for you. or you need to hire someone and give someone equity in your business that's willing to do that, and you just be the star. And you be the dancing bear and they be the brains. And if your ego's willing for that to happen, then that's a way that this could work for you. But if you're not willing to do that because your ego's like, no, it needs to be me doing the business, then sorry, it's going to be really hard for you.
Yeah, I think that's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was awesome, bro. That was awesome. Such a clear journey for people to pinpoint where they're currently at and where they need to go in order to make business fucking work. And you got to respect and enjoy that journey as well. You got to embrace those frustrating moments. I mean, again, dude, when I was scaling my franchise system, all of those moments were such turning points just in my evolution and my journey as an entrepreneur. And truly, you can't read a book and learn those lessons. You have to be in the fucking trenches and feel a lot of those lessons in order to progress and evolve. And so I love how you explain that, brother. Man, we've come to the end of the podcast. This has been incredible. So many nuggets of gold, bro. But I want to ask you one question. I love asking this at the end of the podcast. If we could put you in a time machine, send you back to little Scotty in Scotland, and you could give yourself some key wisdom, some 1, 2, 3 bits of gold that will fast track you and maybe avoid some of the pain that you felt on the journey, what would that be for our listeners?
Wow, that's a really good question. So going back to the little Scot, here's what I would say. This is pretty intense as well, so fasten your seatbelts, guys. What I would say to him is I would say, Scott, live as if your dad is dead. Live as if your dad is dead. And what I mean by that is you must love your father, but you must be free of his expectations and criticisms that he had of you. And you're a man, and you got to build your own life, your own family, your own purpose, your own future. And do not let that bullshit that you experienced back then hold you back. So live as if he's dead. I learned that in a book called The Way of the Superior Man. That's what I would say.
Deep, brother. Fucking deep. I'm sure a lot of people would resonate with that with that message, bro. My man, this has been awesome. I want to say a huge thank you for joining us. I mean, me and Matt love chatting with you and learning from you as well. So you've got so much gold and wisdom to drop. Where can our viewers and our listeners find out more about you and what you do?
Yeah, man. Well, if you want to go and search me on Instagram, just type in Scott Weddell. You'll see me. That's where I'm most active. My company, The Digital Marketing School, you can just go to thedigitalmarketingschool.com and you'll see what we're up to, and you can come and opt in for our stuff. And if you want to explore doing marketing, because what I'm really passionate about is helping people build a skill that's really long term and that is future proof, because I really believe that in the next 10, 20 years, artificial intelligence, robotics, all these things are going to come in. And if you've not got your shit sorted, if you don't have a system that's working for you, you don't have leverage. And what's going to happen is if you don't have leverage by having like skills and tools and artificial intelligence working for you, then you're going to get replaced. You're going to get replaced. So you really want to knuckle down in this next 2 to 3 years and build a skill that's long term. And I truly believe that marketing is the engine that drives all business models. And I heard a guy on a podcast that's worth $100 million. He's got 100 million pound back in the UK worth of real estate. And he said this one thing. He said, I'm a marketing company in disguise. And he's a property developer. So if someone that's worth 100 million pounds said that, then isn't it true that marketing is one of the top skills that you need to learn to grow your business? And there's plenty of tools out there you can use to leverage artificial intelligence to work for you so you can provide higher value and better value to businesses in the world. So my message is come and visit us and check out what we do.
Love that, brother. I'm sold. I'm going straight to the website after this. You've motivated me. I love it, my man. Dude, again, it's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, man.
My brother. Thank you again, boys. And guys, if you're watching this, make sure you go check out Scott. He's got a lot to share, and I know you'll get a lot of value. Thanks again, my man.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And I love what you guys are doing. It's an awesome message you guys have got.
Appreciate that,
Thank you,
brother. Guys, if you love this episode, share it with someone who needs this message and can get value from it. We'll see you on the next episode of the Relentless podcast.